There's been a lot of interesting real estate related news in the last month, from that Mississauga house that got an insane 85 offers registered to it, to the Bank of Canada pivoting their rate strategy, suddenly declaring that they're no longer in rate hike, but in rate wait mode, to new federal limits on international students. To top it all off, the Toronto area real estate market has picked up quicker and earlier than I expected, potentially throwing out my 2024 market prediction of a slow start to the spring market. But on that front, everything's not quite what it seems, and the name of the game seems to be affordability. Let's start with that Mississauga house that got 85 offers. This property has been making the rounds on social media and in the news the last week. It sold on January 29th. It was a semi-detached in Erin Mills and was listed at $750,000 with an offer date. It sold just shy of $1 million. Here's a quick skim of what it looked like. For those of you that don't know what an offer date is, it's when a seller delays looking at any offers for about a week to ensure that the property gets enough market exposure, and then they'll set a specific date and time and review any offers that come in. Generally, the seller hopes to get multiple offers on the house, and the hope is that it will sell above their list price. Often properties listed this way are listed much lower than the seller would realistically accept on the house. The story for many reporting on it is that the property got 85 offers and that the market is rebounding hard. For others, it's been that the property was grossly underpriced, which I'd say is a matter of perspective. It was definitely underpriced, but if you look up semis in Mississauga, there were 16 that sold between $750,000 and $850,000 since September 2023. In Erin Mills, the majority of semis that sold in the last 6 months sold in the 900s, with some selling in excess of $1 million. So yes, it was underpriced, but it wasn't an impossible, never happened in Mississauga price. To me, the story is that despite 85 offers, which I agree is an insane number, the property sold for less than $1 million. Not some crazy inflated number, but exactly in range for what I would assess as its market value based on comparables from the fall market. We are seeing very high demand for entry-level houses, properties where you can raise a family. We are not facing mania, at least not yet, where buyers will pay inflated numbers, and to me, that is the story. So where's all this demand coming from? Well, one easy source is pent-up demand. In my last video, I explained that up to 2021, the 20-year average number of residential sales in Toronto per year is about 36,000 transactions. Over the last 2 years, the average number of Toronto residential sales was 26,000 per year. So due to the last slow 2 years that we've had, there are at least 20,000 people that should have moved in just Toronto, not all the GTA, that did not. And they're finally starting to come out. The next is all the new Canadians that Canada has brought in the last 2 to 3 years. According to this graph that Jennifer Keesmaat, former chief city planner, posted about Canadian immigration, in 2021, Toronto and Peel Region alone absorbed 23% of all new Canadian migrants. Canada's population grew over 3 million since then, between a mix of new citizens, PRs, and of course students. And so if you extrapolate 23% of 3 million, that's about 690,000 people, greater than the population of Oakville and Burlington combined, who presumably settled in Toronto and Peel Region. Where the heck are they gonna go? For dog's sake, you'd have to fit 25 people in a basement just to accommodate. Right, so the demand for housing is certainly there, but why didn't that house sell for more money? Well, that all comes down to affordability and financing. The fact that Mississauga semi sold for $1 under $1 million tells me that the winning buyer of all 85 offers most likely didn't have a full 20% down payment. And the only way that you can purchase a property with less than 20% down is if the purchase price is less than $1 million. And at that price, with say $150,000 down payment, you would still need a total household income of about $200,000 based off of today's mortgage rates. This is an income that few new Canadians have. And if you were to put even less than $150,000 down, you would need an even higher household income. So yeah, with high mortgage rates of around 6%, banks are lending between 3.5% to 4% household income, depending on your other debts. This is compared to about 5.5 to 6 times your household income when mortgage rates were between 1% to 2%. That's a 30 to 40% drop in affordability compared to just 2 years ago. So the demand is there, but the ability to pay high asking prices is not, save for some exceptional buyers who either have very high household income and can still afford to buy, or buyers who have a very large down payment, perhaps because they already own real estate and will sell, or they've invested their money well over the past few years and seen great returns. And we're seeing how that's playing out across the board in Toronto. This chart shows January Toronto freehold sales and new listings at different price points. The blue bar represents new listings that came on the market, and the green bar represents sales in each of these brackets in $100,000 increments from $1 million to $2 million. The first ceiling is right around $1.3 million. These are homebuyers who mostly have a $200,000 household income and have a $300,000 to $500,000 down payment to upsize. For the most part, they're millennials and Gen Xers who have acquired their down payment from selling their starter home, which they bought maybe 4 to 8 years back, or were just savvy investors and savers. You can see there's a high number of listings, but there's also a high number of sales. No way around it. Homes in this bracket are selling, and this has been the case since rates rose in 2022. Above about $1.3 million, there's a really big drop off of buyers to the next ceiling, which is between $1.4 and $1.6 million. These are again upsizers who generally have a more mature family, need more space, and whose household income is either closer to $300,000 with the same $300,000 to $500,000 down payment, or a lower household income but with a significantly higher down payment. And this is a really tricky price range because there tend to be a fair number of potential buyers in this range whose needs are for more space and in a good, modestly updated 2-story house in a good area, but few properties that actually suit the needs of these buyers. The homes that exist in this price range are either not quite large enough but located in great high-value neighborhoods, or are big enough but need a fair amount of work, which for a family with kids, they don't really have the time or money to deal with. And if they're renovated, they tend to be excessively renovated homes that are priced around $2 million. And so again, you see another drop off of buyers from about $1.7 million until you hit the next price ceiling of $2 million, which buyers in that price range are looking for something that hits most of the marks in a large house that is modern or more extensively renovated in a great area, or something that is exceptional, like an older house on a ravine lot that can be customized. So you can really see the ratio of listings to sales as you climb the price ceilings. Ceiling 1, selling really well. Ceiling 2, still selling well, but with limited options available to buyers. And once you hit ceiling 3, buyers are harder to come by. And due to this, you might end up seeing some downward pressure at these upper price points because once you surpass about $1.7 million, there seem to exist a lot more sellers than buyers. It's still very early days, as this chart is only for January, but if this trend continues, we might start seeing better value in the upper price ranges, especially if the demand or need to sell starts to creep up for retirees or seniors holding onto higher value real estate. So if houses are so expensive, does that mean they're overpriced? I want to say yes, but the answer I'd have to say is probably not. I was recently sent this price building guide on building costs across Canada for 2024. And the GTA, surprise, surprise, is one of the most expensive areas to build. For a custom built home, you're looking at spending approximately $520 per square foot on the low end. So to build a 3,600 square foot finished custom 4-bedroom 2-story house, 1,200 square foot on the main, 1,200 square foot up top, 1,200 square foot in the basement, you're looking at about $1.82 million just to build it. That doesn't include land value for the lot, that's just building a house. And I'm seeing custom builds in Toronto sell on the resale market for as low as $2.5 million right now. And to build like a 2,400 square foot semi-detached with an unfinished basement, on the low end to build, it's quoting $210 per square foot. So to build it, it would cost at least $504,000. And I'm seeing semis sell in Mississauga with finished basements under $1 million. So then you say the land is overvalued. Well, maybe, but where can you find vacant land in the GTA for under $500,000? So to conclude, from a replacement perspective, it actually looks like the cost of housing isn't completely unreasonable, but still completely unaffordable. And that's how both interest rates and Toronto's high population are killing us. And speaking of the GTA's troublesome population issues, I'm not blaming newcomers, new immigrants, or international students. I mean, look at me. I'm a Canadian-born product of immigration, though this guy disagrees. I believe and highly respect anyone's desire to seek a better life for themselves and their family. But with the Canadian government and the schools recruiting these students, there is a complete lack of targeting for the new Canadians that will fill the huge holes in the industries that are most in need. Healthcare and housing. One of the reasons our cost to build is so damn high is we don't have enough workers in the trades and in skilled manual labor. And everyone knows that right now. But Canada is selling the wrong type of opportunities to countries where education is highly prized across Asia, in South and East Asia, and in Africa, areas of the world where being educated actually raises your status. So you get all these people studying things like commerce, accounting, engineering, programmers, getting second degrees, master's degrees, certifications in industries which are entirely oversaturated. And I don't mean offense, but we don't need any more of these graduates. And they're all competing for the same $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 entry-level jobs, wondering why Canada isn't giving them a job just to be able to get out of sharing a basement with 24 other people. None of these newcomers dreamed of coming over and being bricklayers or plumbers. And I'm not blaming them. Those manual labor jobs back home were all lower status in their countries, and they didn't pay well. And if you're educated, why would you leave your home country to be a bricklayer or a drywaller or a framer or a plumber in some new foreign country? That's crazy. So instead, you get the Canadian-born university grads who couldn't find work in their fields, go back to college to become apprentice electricians, who are now double educated with fewer income earning years left, who need to charge more for the work to build the new houses. So listen, cap on foreign students, okay, yeah, I guess this decreases the flow of more extremely disappointed new Canadians realizing that Canada sold them a lie, but this isn't doing anything to solve the housing crisis. End rant. Now, before wrapping up this video, I want to drop a bit of advice. If you're a buyer going out there shopping in this market, as the market picks up, be a realist, but don't get too caught up in the moment. Right now, we're in a market that is facing uninformed optimism. There are rate drops on the horizon. The Bank of Canada pivoted their strategy, but when and how much rates will drop and what sentiment will be is yet to be determined. Further, economically, we're not in recovery yet. We're still waiting to see how the first wave of $186 billion mortgage renewals in 2024 will impact supply and how these renewals will ripple through the rest of the economy. Sentiment can easily turn from uninformed optimism to informed pessimism, where buyers suddenly they back off, and if you overpay today on the assumption that mortgage rates are dropping very soon, you could be left feeling very bitter about allowing yourself to go there. FOMO is still a thing and it can lead to mania, so don't be the buyer left holding the bag. Exercise caution out there and be smart. So that's it for this market update. My name is Jonathan Lee. I'm a Toronto area realtor based out of Etobicoke. If you enjoyed this video, click subscribe. And if you want to chat real estate, you can click on the Calendly link below in the description. Cheers.